pleased, as you just heard, to join all of you today on behalf of the Historical Museum Commission to dedicate yet another in the over 2,500 that are across Pennsylvania that recognize all types of Pennsylvania history, people, places, and events. And we had another one today. Let me just take a moment to let this police car pass. Let me just take a moment to give you a brief history tour of Pennsylvania, because you know, there are several markers that deal with environmental history in Pennsylvania. If we go a little bit south of here, we go to the Pennsylvania Forestry School, where there's markers there to people like Ralph Brock and to the Forestry School itself that Jim Grace helped dedicate several years ago that recognize the importance of the history of forestry in Pennsylvania really as a national leader. And that school remains significant yet today. If we go out to the western part of the state, if we take a little tour out there, we'll find a marker to none other than Rachel Carson, who this building is named after here. And that is posted at her homestead, which recognizes her significance in not only state history, but national history, as well as an environmental leader and as an awakener for some of the environmental crises that we face then and face now as a nation. We go to the north central part of Pennsylvania. There you will see a couple of markers that deal with the Civilian Conservation Corps, that Great Depression era program that marked the work of those individuals to improve parklands and forest lands and other places significant to Pennsylvania's environment. We go to the northeastern part of the state, in the little town of Milford, a beautiful little town. If you've never been there, you really ought to go there. There, near the home of Gifford Pinchot, Gray Towers, there is a marker to the greatness of Gifford Pinchot and the work that he did really as one of Pennsylvania's early environmentalists, the first commissioner of the Pennsylvania Forestry Commission, and later governor, where he reached national acclaim for his work in progressive causes, including the environment in Pennsylvania as well as national. He served at the national level as well. Now, then there are the less pleasant stories of Pennsylvania's environmental history, and yes, we have them in Pennsylvania. They're not nice to talk about all the time, but they are our reality, and we can't forget them. Let's take, for example, in Luzerne County, the story of the Knox mine disaster, something I've written extensively about, in fact, 2 books that recognize the significance of that disaster in ending deep anthracite mining in that part of Pennsylvania, where still 12 men are somewhere under the Susquehanna River since 1959, never having been found after that terrible tragedy. The nuclear accident at 3 Mile Island here in Middletown is recognized as well for the potential there for the environmental catastrophe that could have been. We know that was largely averted. And finally, the Denora smog out in western Pennsylvania, not far from Pittsburgh, where in the post-World War II era, a smog encased the city of Denora coming from the Denora zinc works. It sickened and in fact killed a few people in that part of Pennsylvania. As yet one chapter in our more dark environmental legacy. But the important thing is that the positive stories and the negative stories come together to give us this entire picture of Pennsylvania's environmental history. And we add one more chapter to that today. In conclusion, let me say, a lot of people ask me, they say, well, you know, you're a historian. Why remember anything? Why don't we just forget the past? Because a good deal of it is unpleasant. We just should move on. Forget history. I would say to that, it's more than just the argument that we remember the past so we don't repeat the mistakes of today. It is that, but it's more complicated than that, I think. Because we remember the past because the past lives. The past isn't gone. The past lives right here today. We all live with the legacy of Doc Goddard. We all live with the legacy of Gifford Pinchot and the Civilian Conservation Corps and Ralph Brock and the Knox mine disaster and the Denora smog. They're not in the past. They may have happened in the past, but they're living and their consequences are breathing and their impact are breathing with us here today.